I restored this motorcycle over the winter of 2016 and 17. You can see that restoration project as well as others here on my YouTube channel. From the beginning of this restoration project, I had the idea of this over-the-top sound system. Some people describe this as really cool, while others say it's a complete waste of storage space and a little bit silly. I agree with both of them, but I like it. I researched what others had learned about upgrading the speakers. I ended up for now with a set of Polk Audio DB501 speakers for the front, the factory rear speakers. These little jewels were available at a local dealer, and while they took some very minor whittling of some of the plastic from the rear speaker pods, they are Hertz DCX 100.3s. Now, as of this recording, they have been in use for about 6 months. I am extremely happy with these. Now, to give this system a little bottom end, I figured out how to cram a 6x9 in each saddlebag. I made a cardboard template of the saddlebag's inner rear walls. I cut a plywood piece to fit. This not only gave the wall more strength, but it provided space for the woofer's foam edge and the woofer to travel. The thickness of this plywood gives the woofer room to move in and out without hitting the back side of the saddlebag wall. I decided on these Rockville 6x9 woofers. They're rugged, they're heavy, and they're big, and they will surely take the punishments. I struggled with this idea, and I wasn't sure I was going to do it until I found assurance and motivation in a very unusual place. I was surfing eBay one day and ran across this set of blue and silver paint scheme Valkyrie saddlebags with what looked like 6 or 6.5 inch speakers still mounted in them. When I saw these, it gave me the assurance that it would work, or at least I wasn't the only guy who had tried it. Once I had everything gathered and had a plan in mind and partly on paper, I decided on the Cerwin Vega Class D Bomber Series amplifiers. I would use a B52 2-channel stereo amplifier rated at 150 watts per channel at 4 ohms for the front speakers in the fairing, another B52 amplifier for the rear speakers on the front of the trunk, lastly, a B51 for the speakers in the saddlebags. This is a single-channel monoblock amplifier rated at 300 watts into 2 ohms, and 2 ohms was the plan. My plan was to have a compartment for each component with a plexiglass cover on the front. Fans would pull air from the sides, and adjustments could be made from the top. A blue LED light fixture would shine up from the trunk floor in each compartment. After all, LEDs make any amp sound better. I finished the wooden portion of the project with gray Flexstone, and then I ever so slightly oversprayed it with flat black, and then covered it all with a semi-gloss clear coat. Here's the system as it was coming together on the workbench, otherwise known as our dining room table. Here are the 3 amplifiers, each in their compartments. Here is the current meter to monitor the extra draw of the system and the extra lighting is putting on the bike. If the bike is running and the system is off, this meter will peg out to the left as the bike is charging the auxiliary batteries. This switch is for the trunk lights. This is the auxiliary battery switch, or the tailgating switch. And lastly, this switch controls the small 120 volt AC inverter. This large 4-gang fuse block is where each of the 3 amplifiers get their main operating power. The 4th fuse acts as a main for the smaller automotive-style fuse block. This grounding block provides most of the ground connections for pretty much everything on the system except for the 3 audio amplifiers. The leveling capacitor is another item that was left from another project, but it was about the right value for this project and not a bad idea. Here is the 2-gang circuit breaker where the 2 auxiliary batteries connect to the system. This single circuit breaker is where the bike's alternator output are connected. There are 4 automotive-style relays, one for the LED lighting on the bike. A second relay is in place and wired for future fog or driving lights. The third relay powers and controls the battery isolator through the ignition switch and the side stand ground switch. The Valkyries have a switch installed in the pivot of the kickstand or side stand as a safety feature. On the Valkyrie, this unit switches ground. So the relay or contactor that connects the bike's battery and alternator to the auxiliary batteries is only energized when the ignition switch is in the on or run position and the kickstand is up. The fourth relay switches power from the auxiliary batteries to this little 4-gang fuse block. The 2 lighting relays are controlled by 2 of the 3 switches mounted on top of the front brake master cylinder. Those are actually switched by switches 2 and 3. The first switch does not use a relay. It supplies voltage straight to the 3 amplifier remote inputs, the cooling fans, MP3 player, and the bike's factory radio when the system is on and the bike's not running. I initially had a multi-band equalizer mounted here on this system. I was constantly stopping, getting off the bike, running back, and making adjustments from one song to the next, trying to find a happy medium. After a couple of weeks, I removed it and bypassed it. Now, beneath this panel, there are a few things happening. I am feeding audio to these amplifiers with the speaker level output from the bike's original factory radio. I have tied a 3 ohm resistor, or dummy load if you will, to each output so the bike's factory radio still sees the load it was made to drive when it was connected to the original speakers. This is a speaker to line level converter. Now, so far, all of the MP3 players I have tried have had speaker level outputs. This converts or transforms the speaker level down to a line level. I will probably experiment more with different players. I've already done quite a bit. I've also considered the typical pocket players or using my phone, but I didn't want to have to connect something every time I take off and then have to unhook some gadget at every stop. This little jewel had a wired remote, which was really what I wanted. I thought about extending the cable so I could control the player from the handlebars, but I ended up mounting it here. This way, my wife or another passenger can skip a tune if they don't like it. Let's face it, I put the songs on the thumb drive myself, so generally I'm okay if you just let her roll. Now, I have yet to mention the trunk vents. This was a decision I really struggled with for several days. I was not afraid to cut a hole, or even 2 holes in my trunk lid. But I didn't want it to look like I had cut 2 holes in my trunk lid. I searched eBay for chrome automotive vent covers. These little dudes showed up right off the bat. I think they look fine. They also seem to be serving the function for which they were installed. Between the fans moving a little air and these vents, overheating is no longer a problem. Now, it took a few tries to get everything doing just what I wanted, but as of this recording, this thing rocks. Here's one last tour of this install. I only wish I could play a tune, and the fidelity you hear on this video sounds like what I hear on the motorcycle. I'm really happy with this system, but I can tell you, I've already learned a few things that I will do differently next time. Batteries, for example. I need to learn more about lithium. They would last longer and I think be lighter. I hope you liked my video, and I hope you liked this unique motorcycle install. If you've done anything similar, I'd love to see it. You can see the complete restoration of this motorcycle here on my YouTube channel. You can also see the life story, almost, of a 1981 Honda GL 1100 Goldwing. I restored that motorcycle twice. You can also see a heartfelt tribute to my friend Scooter Davis, who we lost in 2016. You can also find other videos from the trips we took and the trains we chased on some of the other motorcycles we restored. Check out rustyscooters.com for project pictures as well as some one-off creations my family and I have built over the years. I really like this system because it sounds good and it is different from anything else I've seen on a motorcycle. But my favorite part is when that trunk lid opens on this bike and they start calling everyone else around to come have a look. That's one of my favorite things. Thanks for your interest and thanks for watching.